Imagine the leader of the world's fifth largest economy suddenly asking citizens to effectively put their lives on pause. That is exactly what happened when Prime Minister Narendra Modi issued a 14-point appeal, termed a civic satyagraha, carrying the distinct tone of wartime rationing. He asked India's booming middle class to drastically alter their behavior, shift back to working from home, cancel expensive overseas destination weddings, and completely freeze their gold purchases for an entire year. The immediate trigger for this was thousands of miles away. The geopolitical conflict in West Asia caused global crude oil prices to spike, and India, caught in the crossfire, had to absorb the shock. The fiscal impact hit instantly. State-owned oil companies began losing over 1,600 crore rupees every single day to keep fuel prices stable for citizens. Meanwhile, the national treasury bled nearly $8 billion in foreign exchange reserves in a single week. Asking citizens to carpool and ignore gold during festival season is emergency financial triage, designed to stop the rapid bleeding of national wealth. To understand why a spike in global oil prices forces nationwide austerity, we have to look at the structural vulnerability underneath it all, the current account deficit. This animation illustrates the concept. A current account deficit is the gap between the money a country earns from the rest of the world and the money it spends buying foreign imports. Right now, the wealth flowing in is dwarfed by what is draining out. And if we look closely at where that money is going, two distinct exits dominate the drain: imported fossil fuels and gold. As long as these two massive leaks remain open, India's domestic economic stability is mathematically tethered to the unpredictable swings of foreign crises. We can see the first drain on any busy commercial street. Gold is woven deeply into the culture, serving as a decentralized, citizen-level financial safety net. For a family in a rural village, physical gold bypasses the need for a formal credit score or heavy banking paperwork. It provides instant leverage for emergency loans and serves as a hard hedge against a depreciating rupee. But what works flawlessly for the individual creates a severe problem for the nation. Economists refer to this hoarded wealth as dead capital. India imports billions of dollars worth of gold using vital foreign currency, only for that asset to sit idle in personal lockers. It builds no infrastructure, creates no jobs, and adds absolutely zero value to the nation's productive economic output. The perfectly rational financial survival tactics of everyday citizens are inadvertently acting as a wrecking ball to the national currency. Yet gold is secondary to the true heavyweight draining the current account: India's massive energy deficit. The country relies on foreign imports for over 85% of its crude oil. This graph reveals a rigid structural link in developing economies. As India rapidly industrializes, builds new cities, and pulls millions out of poverty, its baseline demand for primary energy inevitably skyrockets. Because domestic supply cannot meet this surging appetite, the country is forced to venture into the global market, buying up vast quantities of foreign oil, coal, and natural gas, and paying for it all in US dollars. According to long-term modeling from the India energy security scenarios, staying on this exact trajectory means the current account deficit will remain stuck between 6 and 7% of GDP, a level that is dangerously unsustainable. This mathematical trap ensures that the nation's economic sovereignty is constantly held hostage by geopolitical shocks taking place thousands of miles away. Asking citizens to pack onto public transit or delay purchasing gold for a festival provides some relief, but these are merely short-term band-aids applied to stop the immediate bleeding. The actual long-term cure outlined in the government's economic data requires a total structural overhaul, heavily reliant on a clean energy pathway. This involves a massive push on the supply side. It means maximizing domestic hydropower, boosting natural gas production, and scaling renewable energy infrastructure to replace the reliance on imported coal. But producing domestic energy is only half the battle. The largest, most critical economic savings actually lie on the demand side, changing exactly how that energy is consumed. This requires a nationwide adoption of electric vehicles, strictly enforcing energy codes in commercial buildings, and aggressively forcing industrial energy efficiency. Combining these supply and demand strategies physically decouples India's domestic growth from the volatile swings of foreign fossil fuel markets. When researchers modeled an aggressive effort scenario for this clean energy adoption, the data revealed exactly how effective this transition could be. This chart compares the projections. On the left, we see the soaring baseline of the national fuel import bill. On the right, the aggressive clean energy scenario causes a steep structural drop in those required imports. And here is the resulting macroeconomic victory. By slashing the fuel import bill, this aggressive transition forces the current account deficit down from that dangerous 6 to 7% baseline into a highly secure, manageable zone of just 1 to 2% of GDP. Building a green energy grid functions as a structural shield, insulating the national budget from global price shocks and securing the nation's long